Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm going to do some more painting today. Yes, that's right, we're going to continue on our merry way. Hello Megan, if you're still there. So I've been painting this Behir miniature, and so far it's coming along pretty well. I did kind of cheat. I did a little bit of stuff while I was not live streaming. It's just a tiny bit, tiny bit. So it's not a huge amount. So nothing to be concerned about if you ask me. Most of it's going to get done today. Okay, so we'll go straight into it. And this is just a chill out. You know, I will paint. Grab your own paints if you want. Talk some Dungeons and Dragons. Answer some questions if you people are interested. That's all cool. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Weller, and today it's another painting day. This is where I continue on. This is the Behir monster or miniature that I have that I've been working on. Frankly, we're moving on to the more detailed stuff. There's a lot of fine brush work to be done. The claws, teeth, eyes, things like that. So yes, kind of aiming for this, but not necessarily going to get there. I've seen people do a pretty good job of this thing, and so I don't expect to come off making a miracle, but do my best, like always, to try to make sure I do a reasonable job of the product. So first off, I did actually kind of cheat a little bit, and I did paint underneath here with some of my zombie flesh colour. I used the zombie flesh colour that I've been using from the Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments monster paint set. So yeah, I did it wasn't a lot, it was just a teeny weeny bit. So you've seen most of what I've been doing. I did last time, I did sort of the tops of the claws and so forth. I'm going to do it inside the mouth today. I'm also going to paint the base. So we're going to do that fairly early on so that I can actually attack it later on with some grey or other colours. So that's the plan anyway. Right, so starting off with my zombie flesh, I'm going to go inside the mouth because I noticed there was a section that was kind of missing something. Feel free to ask questions. Actually, that's the thing I need to do, is I actually need to grab my keyboard and type in hashtag questions, please. You can ask any question you like. I am fine with that, not a problem, and we'll pin it so it's up the top there so I don't have to remind myself or anything like that. So you're absolutely welcome to ask questions if you want to, or just do your own painting. Okay, so inside the mouth. I've attacked this twice now. I have noticed that there is just a little speck of red, which I'm going to get rid of. Just in there. And I'm going to go on the outside of the teeth as well, because I'm probably going to start working my way towards actually getting the colour that I want on the teeth, which there will be some white involved, but I don't think it's going to be a lot of white. I'll try to avoid doing too much if I can. Okay, so smaller brush. So the fine detail brush for today. Let's get that wet. And okay, that should do it. So just along the teeth, not too much. Just to get them coated. And we'll go back over them with something else later on. Oh, I lost the brush. I did a little spin there. Okay. And then on the other side. So I just finished up being a dungeon master as of last night. I've been doing it for about just over 2 years, and now it's going to be time for me to take a rest. Which is, look, it had to happen. Somebody else is going to take over at my table, which is kind of nice. I like the idea that I don't necessarily have to be the one that does it all the time. So somebody else will take over, which is excellent news. And we're going to play a nautical campaign. The sailors, pirates, potentially wind up being pirates, sounds like. It's the Skulls and Shackles campaign from Paizo, or Pathfinder. I've played part of it before. It's actually pretty difficult. So I don't expect to find it easy, although I think our group is pretty good at making characters that can do pretty much anything. So I'm not terribly worried. Okay, so that's that. I'm actually going to use this colour too on the eyes. I know that sounds weird for some people, but yeah, that's what's going to happen today. Okay, and a little bit more on the other side. So yes, I am enjoying the idea of actually being a player rather than having to be a dungeon master for a while, which will probably mean that there'll be a few more videos that get released on this channel focusing on players. Oh, it's the fine brushwork. I always find that difficult. Okay, so we're going to come back to this in a second, but I'm going to get some black onto the base. So we'll step you over here for now. This is the base. Do not stick it to the base. I already said this. Don't stick it to the base. Make sure you do all your painting before you assemble. Otherwise you're never going to get it done. So I'm using Vallejo black, which is not quite the same. The other ones, the Nolzur paints, are actually just army painter paints. So there we go. And we won't be using a fine brush for that. We'll be using a larger brush for that. Something to coat it pretty quickly. I don't know that I'm going to worry about thinning it down. I'm just going to use a really manky old brush that really doesn't matter what happens to it. And we'll just get this on, and then I'll go back over it with some grey to bring it out. I don't see much point in going to an awful lot of detail on a base where most of it's going to be hidden by the monster anyway, so I'm not going to get too carried away. So yeah, it'll just be about getting the black on, letting it dry, move it aside, move on back to the monster itself. Okay. And I don't need to worry about getting into the holes because they're probably all going to get filled in anyway by feet, although it didn't line up very well. Hello Rivers, how's it going? Have I tried Reaper paints? No, I haven't tried Reaper paints. I have painted some Reaper Bones miniatures. They're all right. I find that you really do need to prepare the miniature pretty effectively. There isn't any room for error. You've got to do everything perfectly right, otherwise the paint just doesn't stick. And once you've got the paint on, you're all right. But that's usually the case with most miniatures. So I haven't really used them. I've usually used Citadel miniatures and paints in the past. And then I was told, look, no, don't use the Citadel paints because they always had those stupid lift-off tops that would break and be hard to close, and you'd spill the paint everywhere, have to go and get some more. It was a pain, right? So frankly, I just didn't worry about that sort of thing after a while. I liked the Vallejo, had the squeezy bottle. Army Painter paints, as far as I know, came after for me in terms of game stores where I was at. Things like Army Painter was a product that came out after Vallejo. Most of the Nolzur's miniatures, the primer on them, that's actually a Vallejo primer, because they tried using a different primer and none of the paint would stick. so they decided to hook up with Vallejo and and actually get them primed. I don't know that pre-priming miniatures is super huge helpful. I mean, what's the point if you're probably going to have to clean off a lot of the mold lines anyway? I suppose there's some assistance there. You don't have to sort of. I mean, it's not like you can't just go over some of the areas fairly quickly once you've taken off the mold lines. So I suppose it's not a big drag. So yeah, it doesn't look like I'm going to get to use this miniature, even though I'm painting it, because I won't be running a game. But I have fought a couple of these things, and the lightning breath, the coiling body that can, pretty much squash you into pulp. It's not very nice, and the fact that it's probably going to try to swallow you alive, always fun to have to deal with. This is where you really want to be able to fight the monster inside, right? You like the Nolzur's? SP? Okay. Hello, Joe. How's it going? So what are you painting today, Joe? Is there anything in particular? I won't spend a lot of time on the space. For those of you who are wondering, oh, is he going to be here painting the space for the next hour? No, that's not. It's not going to happen. Not today. Not today, anyway. So, Overboard DM actually has a YouTube channel that specializes in terrain miniatures and reviews products and so forth. Quite often high-end products, but he does a lot of stuff that other people don't do. So I do recommend you go check him out if you like that sort of thing. If you like the more complicated miniatures that actually have multiple parts, because he's got a lot of that sort of stuff there. And I think he probably does a better job than I do, frankly, in terms of paint jobs. But that's just my opinion. Okay, last little bit here, without getting too much paint on my fingers, if I can help it. Probably should have stuck it to something before I did this, but it's too late now. And then I've got to shift it off out of the way, which is going to be fun. Okay, I think we've just about got that sorted. Alright, that'll do. Right, move that out of the way. We don't need that for quite a while. Let that dry. Okay, back to the main miniature, which is the monster that you came to see me paint. So I thought it was interesting that this particular beastie is a creation of giants. So the war between the giants and the dragons, and as a result of that, you know, dealing with dragons is pretty hard. So the giants have created this thing, the Behir. So that means the Behir does not like dragons. They will attack them, and if they can't drive them off and defeat them, then they will probably find a new home to lair. Right, that's that. Okay, now I did the eyes. I actually want to hit the horns now. Last time I hit it with the Owlbear brown, but I'm also going to hit this thing with the Minotaur hide colour. I'll do that. What's that, Rivers? I used a Behir a while ago in my game. They bargained with it. Oh, well, good for them. It seems like a very good idea. Okay, right, so we won't need a lot of this. I'm not planning to use a lot of paint on the top section of the horns. So we'll just see how this works. You might have noticed I haven't thinned down any of these paints, because I found that the Marvelous Pigments, you just, if you thin them down, it just turns into a watery mess, so I don't do that. Already been through that before. Okay, and we'll hit that again on the other side. What's that, Joe? You just got home from work today. All right. I don't have to work till tomorrow evening, so I'll probably paint some tomorrow afternoon. Oh, okay. Well, you probably won't see me until about the same time tomorrow, just because of you know, complexity of living with other people, and you know, what I can manage. My eyes and my hands are not exactly the best if I will leave it too late at night, so that's probably not going to happen. Alright, so that's that side. Let's do the other side as well. And then, you know, the zenith, basically the sun goes down, I'm in the right place. I don't have to worry about the sun coming in the wrong place, so it kind of works about this time, I feel. I am perfectly aware though that it doesn't work for everybody. I'm going to wind up doing shift work myself, Joe, so yeah, I'm not looking forward to going back to that. That's just the reality though, isn't it? So what are you doing with yourself right now, Rivers? Anything interesting, or are you just hanging out? Just hanging out. Okay. Alright, so that's that colour. We will come back to it, but not just now. First off, I want to go back and I want to get that colour here. This is this zombie flesh. I might need to thin it, but I'll just see how we go first. Right, where was I going to start? Was I going to start in the front, the back? I can't remember exactly. Oh, there's a little bit of paint that needs to go right there. I'll do that. Okay. Right, claws. Let's get the claws sorted out. There's a lot of work to be done on the claws. What's that? You're watching college football, Rivers. Oh, okay. I'm not really a college football sort of person, but then again, I don't live in the States, and I've never really been. I mean, I live in New Zealand. I'm not really a rugby fan, so I don't really watch a lot of rugby. Not that it would matter because nobody's playing rugby right now. we're all locked down. Everybody's got to stay at home, so there won't be any sports going on. That's all right. Everybody's trying to find a different way of doing things, keeping themselves occupied. I have now got a... there is now a swing underneath the deck and a slide so that the little one can entertain herself since she's not at kindy. All right, that didn't work. Let's try that again. All right, that didn't work too bad. Okay, all right, so we're working our way along the top of the claw. That's one, only a gazillion more to go. What's roll tide? Alabama. I don't know anything about what's roll tide in Alabama. Whatever is going on there, I don't get it. It's all right. You keep going with that line of thought. So I did finally decide on what monsters I would discuss with Wally DM and Dawn from Roll for Initiative, and with Denny, sorry, from DicelyDND, and I sent off the email, so we'll be shooting that discussion at the end of the week. It has been a month since I've seen Wally, and it's just too long. I think we go through withdrawal symptoms. Sometimes it's like, oh dear. All right, it's been too long. Got to catch up again. The bonus is at least there's sort of a plan now, so that we do try to keep up with each other more often than we were doing before, because none of us knew each other before. None of the YouTube channels knew each other, and now we've got Mr. X in the pipeline, and Jordan is going to be talking with AJ and HowtoDandD and Mr. Rex in the future, more about lore stuff, I suspect. So you'll see them popping up on somebody's channel, one of those four. So I think they're the right people to be talking about those sorts of things, since that's their specialty. Now, this is going to prove to be a very long process. So if you were doing claws and thinking that I was going to be able to paint these fast, or even that you would be able to paint them fast, you have another thing coming. This is what happens when I start doing the detail stuff. It gets quiet, gets complicated. Same thing over and over again. There's not lots of huge changes to the miniature. It's little things now. Trying to hold, look, try not to hold your breath. I'm trying not to hold my breath, I really am. No. Can I see what's going on there? God. I wish my eyes were younger, honestly. It would make life so much easier if they were just a little bit younger, a little bit easier to see what's going on. Fine details just tough. Really, really tough. Hi, Jasper. Just finished DMing my session. Oh, okay. My party kidnapped a an acolyte, Lovecraftian. Is that? I mean, I'm not too sure. Some sort of acolyte. That's going to be a thing now, is it? Okay. Do you guys want to know what happened in my game last night? The last one for my campaign. Because I'm fine. I can tell you the story if you want, because it's no longer a secret. I don't have to hide it from my players anymore. I'm collaborating. I'm collaborating with end of the week. I'm going to be with Wally DM, Dawn from Roll for Initiative, and Denny from Dicely D&D, and then I believe on Wednesday it's AJ is going to be hanging out with Jordan and DungeonDad and Mr. X. So it's all happening now. If you guys were always hoping that you'd see some of those particular people in the same video, it is going to happen. An A10. What's an A10? Yeah, its name is spelt Teni. Yeah, but that's because, now, to give you some perspective, and I've tried to explain this to people on a couple of occasions. Actually, I'm going to move back to the mouth and the eyes before I go on. So we're going to go to... this is skeleton bone. Okay, so I'm using skeleton bone next. Give that a good shake. The round table that I've organised things with are not just with big YouTubers or medium-sized YouTubers. Look, it's just people who wanted to be involved and had a consistent library of stuff and asked me, do you want to be on? And if I told them the time and they said no, well, they didn't show up and that didn't happen. But if they said yes, okay, I can do that, then they did. That's all it is. It's no more complicated than that. So that means that you will see people you've never seen before on these Dungeon Master roundtables. I pick people that you can work with. Do you know what I mean? If I wind up with people that just don't seem to interact well with somebody else, it doesn't work. Or wants to take over the show. I've had a few people try to take over the show. That's not very helpful either. So as a result of that, you're going to see some small YouTubers mixed in amongst some of the larger YouTubers and medium-sized YouTubers as we go. That's definitely going to happen. So I'm just hitting the teeth. I'll just put a little bit there as well, I think. And then we'll do the other side. Wash my brush as much as I possibly can. Milton. How's it going, Milton Knowles? Milton Knowles, the insane Witch King. Oh, hello. Yes, I am mortal. I found out that the hard way recently as winter's been pounding me. Now. So I'm just hitting these with that that skeleton bone on the teeth. I'm really not going anywhere else with it at present. The teeth are really, really small, so hard to see too. Alright, let's just do a little line just where the gum is. It's been going good, man. I'm getting better. My voice is starting to come back, which I'm quite frankly glad. It was getting a little bit concerning that maybe I was not going to get to a point where I could actually speak again. Alright, so that's that one. Where else did I want to go with that? Not doing the eye. I've done the eye, done the teeth there. I might just hit it with no, I'll hit it with a white a little bit later on, not just yet. We'll leave it a little bit longer. We'll go back to doing claws, since I've been working my way through the claws. Where is it? The zombie flesh. How's my base looking? Is it looking dryish? Oh, it's looking mostly dryish. I might just chuck a little bit more black on there. Where is the black that I was using before? I was using black. Did I just use the... No, I just used the wrong... the wrong point. Never mind. It's too late now. Okay, let's try here. And then probably a softer brush rather than the harder brush to get into the little bits that I missed. So yeah, I'm really pleased. We now have a Discord server for those people who are part of the table. So I've got I've got Esper the Bard coming in into the chats about the end of October, probably more November of this year, because he's been working on a book, and I wanted to give him he needed to have a rest, guys, so we're not going to bring him in too soon. And I'm still waiting to get Eric organised and in. I did make the offer. He hasn't committed yet. He's part of the Discord server, but he's not there. Yes, I was chatting with Esper and just text chat. No, it wasn't in person or anything. But no, he seemed very keen, and I have no doubt that we'll be hooking up Esper with AJ and the other lore masters, because he's kind of like a lore master himself. Although I think he's more of a creative. He's certainly got more of a creative bent than I would say some of the other people in the group. AJ's like a homebrewer. He's big on homebrew. So AJ Pickett and him will have lots in common. And then, of course, DungeonDad, people will be surprised, but DungeonDad is just bat crazy with the stuff that he comes up with. The rest of us who just don't have enough time just don't wind up making a lot of that stuff. We wind up running premates, which is like, that seems to be the way it is sometimes. Okay, all right, leave it alone, Fred. I think that is good enough. Did I get the paint where I need it to go? Yeah, good enough. Leave it alone. Let's get on to the other miniature. That's what you're here for in the first place. Any advice for finding a spare DM? Me and a friend would like what? Milton, to give you an idea, I just want to give you an idea. I keep hearing people talking about finding a dungeon master, because they want to play the game. And do you know how my home group works? And this is what I would suggest to you. Okay, you find people who want to play the game. And when I say play the game, I don't mean just play a character. They don't have to be the dungeon master straight away. Okay? And then everybody runs a one-shot, like a small adventure, not a campaign, like a one-shot adventure, and everybody dungeon masters. And you don't worry about if you do a really poor job, or you think you did a poor job, or somebody on the internet told you that you did a poor job. Screw them. Okay, and then once you've done that, that means everybody gets to play and everybody dungeon masters, because you know what happens in my home group, Milton, is, you can look online. There are lots of places where you can find dungeon masters who will dungeon master for a group of players, particularly if you bring in a few people together and then you all know each other. But my group, all dungeon master. Simon is going to be dungeon mastering next. Kirsty has dungeon mastered for the group. Jean-Paul has dungeon mastered for the group. I think so. John has been a dungeon master. He hasn't dungeon mastered for this group, but he has dungeon mastered adventures before. And then Cajun is probably the only one who's tentatively unsure if he could handle it. But he won't have a choice, because we'll make him. We're going to make him do it. He's going to have to get him. He's going to have to grow some balls, and it's going to happen. So my advice to you is, the best groups are the ones where everybody plays and everybody is a dungeon master. Does that make sense? I know that doesn't necessarily answer or say the things that you are wanting to hear. But honestly, if you want a group to survive and work, everybody dungeon masters. It is the best way to work. It's the best way to go. And you won't like everybody who dungeon masters. But you will definitely find your way. Do you know what I mean? The groups that survive are the ones who do it all. Playing the game means doing everything. Okay, any advice for a DM on finding a spare party? Right, there you go. Well, look, I'm going to say look to your friends and your family, and if your friends and family are not interested, then just look on the internet. It's the digital age, man. If you've got game stores open, people used to pillage people from, or pull people into their games from Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League and public games. It used to happen all the time. Dungeon Masters would come in and I'd feel really guilty that maybe that were doing that, and they're like, I don't know if I should be here because really all I'm doing is looking for some players for my home campaign. And I would say, because I was organising everything, yeah, so they can come here and play, and they'll play in your game as well. And if they don't like playing here, they'll just play in your game. I don't really give a toss, mate. So yeah, there are lots of ways of getting players and Dungeon Masters, but the best way, as I've said, is everybody does everything. You like that idea? Cool. All right. I have all this terrain and minis, and I don't even play anymore. That's not good, mate. You can point, seriously, you can just point your webcam, and I know you've got a webcam that can do this. I'm sure you can handle this. You're the guy who buys too much of everything. So even if you don't have that webcam, get yourself a tripod and a webcam, or a webcam that you can adjust and position at your face, and then move to your desk or your table and point it at your miniatures and your terrain, and then just play the game that way. No virtual tabletop. Screw that. You can play online. Do it that. I've said this before. I feel like maybe I just have to just show you guys. I mean, I'm sure I have showed you guys a video that was like that. It's probably not enough people watched it. In person. You want in person? Well, you can find people online who want to play in person. That's possible too. Slice of Scott is here. Hello, Slice of Scott. Okay, what do you got here, Milton? I am definitely not going to be the fill-in for a Dungeon Master. I feel sorry for them. They have to put up with people like me, and I'm not the worst in the group. Laugh out loud. So here's the thing. One of the things I discovered is I'm an instigator, and so it actually makes more sense that I be a Dungeon Master a lot of the time, just because I like things to happen. And if I get players who sit there and don't do anything, I can just make things happen. Because I'm the Dungeon Master, it doesn't look like I'm being disruptive. Or, getting a bit shirty. It just looks like I'm making the story happen. So it's a lot easier to get away with. Do you know what I mean? and here's the thing. Even if you Dungeon Master, you just do it once, and then when they say, oh, you can just keep doing it, and you say, well, no, that's not going to happen. And then they say you don't have a choice. Well, mate, guess what? Free world, there's nothing they can do to make you do it. You just say, I've run it, somebody else has got to do it. It's as simple as that. It really is. I have 5 GMs in my group and one who wants to GM a Star Wars game. I remember playing Star Wars Saga. Man, did I have a lot of fun playing Star Wars Saga. That was great. That was awesome fun, Rivers, absolutely. Hi, Tommy Lee Blanc. I haven't seen you for ages. It is a fine time for Dungeons and Dragons, absolutely. Mate, it's like the old gang is back. I feel like my old painting gang is just showing up. Not to say there isn't room for new people, because there always is. There's always room for somebody else. All right. Okay, I'm getting closer to the top. I feel like progress is actually not too bad. We're going to hit the mouth again and the teeth, and I'm probably going to do the horns a little bit more. Do. I know of 2 groups needing DMs. Yes, see, there's the thing. This is the problem. People keep thinking in terms of, they have to have DMs, when actually they don't. They just need to have people who want to play. Do you know what I mean? It frankly isn't that hard to do. I think if anything, the internet has made it easier and easier, giving you more and more advice on how to do it. And in the process, it has also resulted in people getting more anxious about doing the thing, because they've got people saying, oh, you have to do it this way, and if you're not, you're a shit DM. And I'm like, good Lord, just go watch some of Matthew Colville's stuff. And his message, if you haven't figured it out, and I'll make it clear, because I'm sure that's the message he was saying, is anybody can do it and everybody should have a go. It is not that bad. You will survive. You will survive. Your monsters might not, but you will survive. It's the one thing you do accept. Monsters die. And if the characters die, just put it down to, well, that happened to the monsters as well, so that's going to happen eventually too. Okay, so we'll turn that a little bit that way, so you can kind of see a little bit of what I'm doing. I'm going to have to turn this miniature quite a lot to actually get at things. You got to run, Rivers? Okay, fair enough, mate. You go. I'll see you later. No, not Matt Mercer. I'm not talking about Matthew Mercer, Jasper. I'm talking about Matthew Colville. Matthew Colville has a YouTube channel, and I am subscribed to him, and he talks about running the game and being a dungeon master. That's really the big focus for him. Is like, how do you do this sort of thing? Like a lot of channels. But his advice is on a different sort of level than most other channels. Most other channels make the same videos, and I've done exactly the same sort of thing in the past. Nowadays I try to make stuff that's a little bit different. Or things that I think will be practically useful, such as the Lost Mine of Phandelver Dungeon Master Guides and Curse of Strahd and the Dragon of Icespire Peak, because I know those are adventures that people who are starting out will try to use, although I am always concerned when people decide they want to start out with the Curse of Strahd, because I'm like, oh my god, do they know what they're getting themselves into? But yeah, those are the sorts of things that I think work really well. But Matthew Colville talks about, it's not just, I would say it's a bit of philosophy and it's a bit of something else. Not to say that there's anything wrong with Matthew Mercer, but I don't expect that. The problem is that to try to duplicate what Matthew Mercer is trying to do, which is what people tend to do or think they need to do after watching Matthew Mercer, it just puts them off. So I think you're actually better to go and watch somebody who's a lot different in how they operate, a bit more easy to emulate, rather than somebody else. And you will find your own way. Everybody does. Do you know that half the problem of being a dungeon master is being able to keep your eyes awake and stay focused long enough and keep everybody else focused long enough, because you're often playing at night and you're already tired. So that is actually one of the biggest issues I've always found as a dungeon master, is actually trying to keep it all together, because it gets later and later and later. It's high concentration. So you've got to take breaks. You'll learn, okay, all right, we're going to take breaks. This is one of the things that I do with my group, is to, like, after an hour and a half, we're definitely taking a break. And if I don't say anything, somebody else will say, I need to take a break. The toilet is calling me. It is saying, come to me now, come to me now. Or I need to go and have a drink, or I need a bit of food, or just whatever it is. I just need to just step away for a little bit and do something else with my life. And then we come back. And we play, probably we only play for about 2.5 hours. We meet for 3 hours, but half of that is usually filled up with catching up. And then, we play for about an hour and a half. We might play for another hour after that when we get back. We're all pretty tired by then, and that's it. We're done. And that's kind of the reality. And you will find if you get a good group, you won't have to do very much as a dungeon master. Everybody else will do all the rest. What do you got here, Milton? I like that dragon thing with too many legs. I would name it. It's Fluffy or Hillary. Yeah. Where are we going with the Hillary name? I wonder where we're going with that. But definitely let's go with Fluffy. Cheeky. Not that I really care in the slightest. Yeah, it's a Behir. And it is a monster that frankly doesn't fly but can give players a lot of trouble. They talk too. You can actually negotiate with this thing because they talk in Draconic. So you can communicate with them. They do have a language, for those of you who are unaware. So you can actually negotiate. You could bribe them. You could negotiate. You could even try to trick them. They're not stupid, but they're not the smartest either. So it's not like it's impossible, but it won't be that easy either. I think this is one of the things people have got to realize when they're trying to trick monsters. You've got to be careful about what you try to do, because you've got to have a pretty good plan. Otherwise, your dungeon master is going to say, it's not really going to work that way. Okay, so just trying to get a grip on what I'm trying to do here. I think, oh man, this is a hard choice. I want to do something with the horns. I really do. And I did hit it with a different colour, but it's not enough differentiation for me. So what else do I use as a colour for that? Maybe I can get away with the grey. I don't know that I can, but we'll give it a shot. It either works or it doesn't. So I'm using the orc skin. I'm using that colour. How high would you have to roll two domesticated, like a dog or a horse? Asking for my friend, not myself. No. You have to roll to domesticate like a dog or a horse. Well, I would say that to domesticate a dog or a horse, it's probably not going to be something like a 5, because 5 is very easy. It's not actually that easy to train a dog or a horse. I wouldn't say that it's easy either. I actually think that it requires some skill. All right, so let's assume that we're looking at a 15 or higher. Now, if it's somebody trying to do this and they are untrained, I would make it hard. I'd make it a 20 or 25. Okay, 20 is probably fine. If they are trained and proficient in it, I would change the DC, because they will have learned those sorts of skills, right? Handling animals and so forth. They'll understand the basics. Some transferable skills probably exist there, and they can actually get away with doing this a little bit easier, right? So what you go with is, okay, 15 for somebody who's trained and skilled, and somebody who's not trained and skilled is going to find it harder, and then a 20. How's that? Did that give you an answer? Chat froze on me, did it? Oh, okay. I just want one of those creatures you're painting as a pet. This is not a pet. This thing is not a pet. This thing is likely to kill you, mate. I suppose it might be a pet if you're a giant, but that because they're the ones who actually created them. But I wouldn't even call them a pet. Wrong sort of wording, I think. Okay, so very, very, very gently, just so I can see the little ridges in the horns. And do the same thing along here. Got to be careful I don't screw up my detail brush. Okay, kind of feel like that kind of worked. We'll leave that alone, and we'll grab the other side and get that done as well. So flip it over. What's that, Milton? My animal handling isn't that bad. It's only a -1. Oh, well, you're not proficient, are you? You're gonna probably find it's going to be very difficult. If you're -1, you roll a 20, it's not an automatic success. You're probably not going to succeed. Pick up a different hobby. Dear. Try something else. Get somebody else to do the training for you. Maybe you can hire a dog trainer or a horse trainer. It's not outside of the realm of possibilities. Hang on, this is a little bit too much. Okay, it's sort of showing up the details on the horn a little bit better than it was before. Let's do the back. And underneath a little bit. That's it. Okay, cool. That worked out nicely. Ah, pretty happy with that. Okay, so I think we're going to be going back to the mouth in a second. And then back onto the claws, probably with a different colour, because I don't want to just go with the flesh. I feel like I need to do something else with it. So let's do this now. I need a dry brush, and we're going to just do this base fairly quickly, and then it's back to monster time. It's monster time. Cookie monster time. Alright, that's too wet. Let's give me something else. Okay. And how simple was that? And I think that's going to be the extent of my involvement in the base. And other than that, it's going to be just mounting it. It doesn't have to be that complicated, does it? Just go around the edge. Yeah. Sweet. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? Almost done. So I've probably selected way too much, put out way too much grey for this job, but that's all right. Not much I can do about it now. Okay, and that is the base done. Ha ha ha! Ah dear. Yeah, that's the base, Jasper. It's the base for the monster. It doesn't line up very well, but it's ready to attach now. I'm not really going to do very much more than that with it. Easy as pie, looks great. Yep, that's the one. Easy as pie. Not that hard, frankly. For those of you who are thinking, oh, it's way too difficult for me. Yeah, right. What's that, Milton? Seriously, I don't think I'm going to be trying to associate with any animals in the game. It's only been 5 sessions and animals have nearly killed my character 7 times. Wow, nice. What sort of monsters, should I say, what sort of animals have tried to kill you? I'd love to know. Last night, my players had to deal with it was a incorporeal head that would fly at them, and it's kind of like a flaming skull, but it's transparent. And the difference with this one is that I did something really, really nasty with it, because that's what I do sometimes, and that is they would explode. They would literally explode on them, and I had a lot of fun doing that. That was absolutely enormously entertaining. Okay, hang on. Let's see. I think we were talking about doing the mouth. I am going to go. Oh, this will be a mistake. I bet you. I'll do this and I'll hate it. No, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to go with what I intend. Goblin skin inside the mouth. That's what we're doing. So yes, they would explode. Once they defeated them, my players were like, oh, this is all right. And then boom, and there was 4 of them. I almost took them out. 4 fireball sized explosions. Wow. And you might be thinking, gosh, you're appalling. But trust me, they're level 15. They can take it. Nobody died. Nobody even fell over, which is like a bit of a shame. You know what I mean? I didn't even knock anybody out. You really have to push the limits when you get to that point to get it to have anything else happen other than crush everything. I gave my character a dog. Ah, I get it. That looks pretty easy and fun, but I know I'm not going to do. No, don't buy the miniatures unless you feel like giving it a go. You know, I'm sure you don't. Not everybody has to paint miniatures, frankly. And half the time, me painting a miniature has absolutely nothing to do with my skill or me painting the miniature. It's people just want to hang out and chat. So that's perfectly fine too. You can do that. That's part of the deal. So yeah, we're all good. Okay, so this goblin skin, I'm going to go a little bit over here and do the other side as well. So it'll be slightly different tinge. What am I? Sorry, I suppose I should put this here so you can see what I'm doing. And then just brush that on. Nothing too fancy. Easy peasies. Yeah, transparent, ghostly, exploding heads. That's how I roll. And then they had to deal with Fey Revenants, which were basically Fey Driders. And one of them in particular, particularly nasty. There was 3 towers. All had fallen apart. One of them lost most of the top half. The other one lost just the roof. And the third one, and they're all linked by a rope bridge, the third one had lost the bottom section, but the top section was just hanging in midair. Not my idea, frankly, so don't get carried away and think that I'm a genius. That is actually a pre-made adventure by Kobold Press that I used from the Tome of Beasts to Lairs. Yes, I did talk about that adventure and how I was not impressed that you had to have the monsters in it. I made my own monsters. Suck on that. I made my own monsters, so I didn't have to go and buy the book or anything like that. I just found the monsters that I thought would work, made a few adjustments, and she's done. Okay. Subtle change inside the mouth, but not a lot, but it'll work. What's that, Milton? Some sort of demon, bird, or a few werewolves, direwolves. Do hillbillies count? Yes, they absolutely do. Hillbillies. A tribe of goblins. A neutral wizard, nicknamed Evil Wizard. Oh, really? Gosh. Really? All right. So that sounds interesting. My players also faced a luck leech. They didn't realize what it was because I didn't tell them. You don't tell them what it is. You just do it, okay? And that thing caused them significant trouble. Significant trouble. Right. Now, I feel like I am going to hit it with a white, and then I'm going to go with the black. I'm doing the eye. For those of you who are wondering, I'm doing the eye now because if I balls it up, I can come back and do it later again, okay? So that's why I'm doing that. Not too much. Farming animals. Really? Farm animals. Oh dear. All right. Okay, that's not good. You're getting beaten up by farm animals. It's like having to fight rats at low level. It doesn't sound that much fun, really. And a level 15 Banshee. Oh my gosh. Somebody upgraded the Banshee. Only just level 3. The Banshee's it's a level 4 monster, so somebody must have upgraded it significantly. Don't fight that thing. Run away. Run away. Hold. Don't look. cover your ears and just flee. Flee for your lives. Right, so let's do the eye. It is 1 dot and not more. Okay, I think that got it. God blimey. What else you got here? I like the books, but all of the really cool ones are way above the player's level. Yeah, fair enough. Yep. I totally get that. I guess for me, I've just liked the fact that the Lear books are like one-shots. So all I do is I could just pick and choose and put it together like Lego bricks. And you know, I've been quite surprised at how positive the response has been. There's been one person who's like, oh no, it's not very good. But he's been a bit of a dick, frankly. And he can't help himself. So, and I know that. We are friends, but he can be a bit of a dick at times. And he knows it too. So for those of you who are wondering, he's coming along pretty good. Yep, I think he is. Yep. I'll come back and I will do the eye in black a little bit later, but I'm going to do some more of the claws. And so I'm thinking that I'm going to transition from that zombie flesh color to the skeleton bone color for the claws. That's what I was actually thinking I would do. Although I should do the teeth now, eh? While I've got the white out, I will just touch them with a little bit of white. Like super detail brush, really small amount of paint, and that's it. Okay, that's it. Just the teeth. Good Lord. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's enough. And then do it again on the bottom one. Just get it off, get it off, get it off. Right, and whew. I held my breath. I couldn't help myself. What do you got here, Milton? I do admit the Dungeon Master went to file the Banshee. It killed my character pet Hillbilly, and she did necromance. I am lost as to what's going on there. Warmount. Something about Banshee, a pet Hillbilly, and a Warmount. It sounds interesting, but I can't quite make out what you're trying to say. What do you got here, Jasper? I'm not into homebrew worlds, but homebrew monsters and spells are awesome. I am super fond of making homebrew monsters. I do it a lot. When I get the opportunity, you're going to get them. And they've had a lot of them recently, of which you'll probably never see. Although I do occasionally put them up on Patreon. I'm just a little bit scared to put those things up on Patreon or anywhere, because when I make monsters, people would look at them and say that's unbalanced and that's unfair and that's stupidly overpowered. And I know the reason why they're saying that is because they have no idea how to deal with high-level play, which is what I've been dealing with. And they're using the rules that they've seen in the Dungeon Master Guide, only part of them probably, because you have to kind of break all the rules with monsters in Dungeons and Dragons 5e, particularly for high level play, and particularly as monsters aren't really scary in Dungeons and Dragons 5e. They're just another creature to get XP from. So to make them more interesting and actually make them scary, you really have to break all the rules. So I don't put that up for people to see because I don't think they would understand. I think it would actually scare people off if I actually showed them the reality of what you have to do to actually get somewhere with those things. Alright, so we're going to do the front of the teeth on the big long fangs. Just a little bit of paint, not too much, don't want to get too carried away. I think that did it. I think the teeth aren't too bad. I think they're all right. It's not about being crybabies. The reality is you can't play the game the way people assumed it was designed to be played, because it doesn't work that way. Okay, I'm going to go with a bit of, I'm going to be risky, and I'm going to use this Cambion Crimson. This is a red colour. I'm going into the gut or gullet of the creature to give it a little bit of colour in there. I don't know if that's, oh, that doesn't look good at all. Okay, I gave it a good shake, but obviously it didn't help. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, it's not so much about crybaby sort of stuff. It's just that, you know, I have a group who've been playing Dungeons and Dragons a long time, and they've got access to so many different things that are really, really powerful. And as a result of that, you really have to break all the rules to challenge them. Would you like to know what I did with the boss monster last night? Because I will tell you, you won't believe me, but I will tell you what I did if you want to know. You just have to say in the chat, Fred, tell us what you did. And you'll think I am absolutely mad. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. I actually feel like that's working quite nicely. I just got to be careful. Yeah, what do you reckon? You'll let me know. Do you think, I don't know if you can you even see inside the mouth with the angle that I've given you? Tell us. Okay, Joe, I'm going to tell you. Before I disappear, before I go away, I'm going to tell you. I made a Fey Revenant leader. And no, there was no TPK. They did not die. I did take down the wizard. The wizard went down, but they did live. They did succeed. Okay, so this is not a horror story I'm telling you. No, this is what happened. I built this monster and gave it legendary actions at the end of every single player's turn. Every single time somebody finished their turn, there was a legendary action. What kind of legendary actions did I give this thing? Well, I gave it all of the actions that I would normally get out of the player's handbook as standard actions. So dodge, disengage, dash, those things were there for sure. There was even search, use an object. So it could do a lot of different things if it wanted to. And I did that quite deliberately. On top of that, what I also did is I gave it some other actions. So all of its standard actions, its longbow attack, it had a long sword. It can make 3 attacks. It had a bite, and so that means every time it took its turn, not a legendary action, but when it took its turn, it had 3 actions it could perform. I gave it a teleport or misty step feature. So that, in other words, as a bonus action, it could teleport 30 feet anywhere it liked, as long as it could see that location. That's right, that's what I did. I gave it legendary actions, but I also gave it legendary resistances. And you have to do this sort of thing. I also gave it maximum hit points. I didn't take the average. I took the full amount of hit points it would normally have if I maxed it out. So that was about 287 hit points. It was immune to certain types of damage. Psychic damage. You could not hurt it with psychic damage. It had damage resistance to everything but radiant and force damage. Okay? So in other words, now this resistance that I applied to it could not be circumvented with a magic weapon. Having a magic weapon would not help you. Having a silvered weapon would not help you. It was just resistance to pretty much everything apart from those 2 damage types. That's it. Force and radiant. You had to use those types to really get anywhere. Otherwise, you're only doing half damage. So the Gloomstalker really did not do very much damage that time. He struggled to get anywhere because he was just making magical piercing attacks. So it didn't help him. That's what I did. Seriously, those are the sorts of things you have to do. I gave it spells. It could cast a spell as a legendary action on somebody else's turn. It gets a legendary action, one legendary action at the end of everybody's turn, but I gave it a bunch of spells. I gave it counterspell. I gave it shield. I made it capable of doing all the things that the players are able to do fairly easily and are usually got access to. I didn't give it minions, okay? This was a legendary monster. It did not have minions that had like 1 hit point. No, it had full-blown Driders. There were 3 of them they had to deal with, although I called them Fey Revenants in this case. I gave them all full hit points, so they had like 100 and something hit points. It was a lot. They had to chop through those as well. How long did this fight take? Do you want to know how long this fight took? In game time, it took about 2.5 rounds, and the fight was over. That's it. Seriously, 2.5 rounds and the fight was over. Nothing more than that. And who won? The players still won. That's right, I have 5 players at my table and they still won. I hurt them bad, but and I took one down, but it didn't die. They didn't die. The wizard still lived. They managed to save the wizard. So that is the sort of thing you kind of have to do if you really want high-level play, and even some of the mid-level play games to actually work and have bosses that are actually scary. So I've essentially broken every single rule there is in terms of how you would create and build monsters in Dungeons & Dragons 5e. I've just told you. I said I wouldn't tell you, but I have. Okay. I'm sure that was a bit of a surprise for some people. Okay, let's do the eye now. I'm gonna try and do the eye now. I feel like I've done a reasonable job of the claws, although I still want to come back and do more, but I'm going to think about it. Once the light settles a little bit, I'll process it in my mind and make a decision. Okay, so Joe always tells me, and a few others have always told me, I need to use the toothpick for the eyeball. So I've got a toothpick. Okay, it's here. Here we go. Right, aiming. I don't know how good an eyeball that looks, but it'll have to do. I've got an eye. Yeah, it's not too bad. The other one's a lot smaller, though. I might have more trouble. Let's see. Okay, eyeball. Okay, right. I think I got it. Wow! Holy Toledo. Okay, that worked. Let's move this out of the way. So let's kind of show it off a little bit. It's obviously not finished. It still needs a wash. I've done a little bit of, I've highlighted the horns a little bit. I've got some detail around the jaw. I've done the teeth. The claws still probably need some areas I'm missing paint. I'll get back to them. This is the other side. Same sort of thing. We got the eye in. It's not too bad underneath. So I feel like that's pretty close to being finished. I am one of those people who struggle to put things down. So I will struggle to say, okay, I have finished, I've done enough. I will struggle, I know this. So, what's that, Milton? One of our places is playing a Revenant, and one of your players is playing a Revenant, and a comically bad assassin. Tried to kill the Dragonborn. Oh God! All right, that sounds like a problem. Yes, the Behir, cousin to the. Right, God. Okay. I don't think it's not a Gold Demon Award miniature. It isn't a Gold Demon Award miniature. I think you've gone too far there. It's all right. It's not bad. I still look. We're going to come back, and I'm probably going to do some more on it, and Does that mean that I'm going to keep coming back and doing other miniatures? It might mean that I do come back while I'm on holiday. Okay, as long as my voice can hold up and it's not too chaotic here at the house, then yeah, absolutely. What's this, Timothy? Hello, how's it going? You are welcome. You said thank you. I don't know what I've done, Timothy. I've got no idea what I've done. Have I provided you with some entertainment or some useful advice, or I don't know what I've done. Leonardo, what do you got here? Yeah, I'll have to do a clear coat eventually, but I think it needs to be washed as well. Which ones would I recommend? I don't know what you mean. Oh, you clear coat. Frankly, I usually go with a gloss clear coat, and I have always found the clear coats problematic. They can just mess things up super fast. Super fast. I do feel like there's something else that needs to be done around the mouth of this thing. What's that, Milton? If they made miniatures life-size, that would be easier to paint. Yeah, absolutely. That's what they need to do. They make it life-size, so can I actually get at the detail? That's pretty funny. I like the idea. You got the right idea. Okay, hey, thank you for everybody who was hanging out with me. I will probably be back, yes, whether it's painting this miniature or something else. I still feel like I can't let this one go just yet, so we'll see how we go. So thank you for hanging out with me, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, or the night, or the wee early morning. Please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.